right, everyone, if you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone, thank you. Welcome. Kathy, if you could do a roll call for us, please.
Yes, sir. Okay, King.
Present.
Pugh.
Present.
McDonald.
Here.
Gologly is absent. Birdbauer.
Here.
Deskin.
Here.
Bartleson. Here. Cardamone.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, our police chaplain, Mitzi Blanchard's here to open us up.
Let's pray. Lord God, we come to you tonight with gratitude for all you are and all you do. Thanking you for the men and women who serve the residents of this city as council members, as mayor, as staff member, and heads of departments, as chief of police. Thank you for their dedication and faithfulness in everything their offices require. Tonight, would you be with them as they conduct the business at hand? Would you help them make wise decisions? And would you help them stay united in purpose? We also ask for peace in our unsteady world tonight. Thank you for the peace we're blessed to enjoy here in Lockport. You are good, and we thank you.
Thank you, Mitzi. All right, friends, so we've got a couple of athletes in the house tonight. So who are they? Stand up, please. I can't see. There they are. Come on up to the podium. Please and thank you. Are coaches here or just you guys show up on your own? Coaches are here. Oh, come on, coaches. Come on up. Well, we always like recognizing our champions. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice, well done. So, Coach, tell us a story, man. Please. Introduce the athletes to us.
Well, I'll introduce Nolan to you. This is Nolan Lamoureux. He's the new 800-meter champion in the state of Illinois, 3A. And he is unbeaten all year long in 800, so phenomenal accomplishment.
What's your time? What can you do? 151. I guess what I do, a quarter mile.
Yeah, same here. No, I don't know about that anymore.
I know not anymore, but in my prime.
Right. His goal was about, we were trying to break 150, but the circumstances didn't encounter. So, but we did a good job. So,
Nice, nice.
McKenna, you got to do your own things.
Just tell us what you, so first state champion for girls track, that's amazing. And what did you, tell me what your event was, what did you do?
I jumped 12, 7.5 at state, but my PR is 13 feet.
So tell me it's pole vault.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Really amazing, all right. Yeah, the high jump.
Yep, pole vault.
That is the most, I bow to you. I could never do that. I tried a couple times, all I did was stick the stick in there and that was it. I could never stand up, anything like that. You gotta go all out. So well done for being that person that goes all out. Well, that's fantastic. Look at you. Thank you on behalf of the council and well done and recognize you guys.
Thank you.
And I know certificates go in the drawer and they get forgotten about, but nobody passes up the Lockport baseball cap. So please take a cap. And if you don't mind, we'll get a picture. At least we'll take a picture of us all. Well done. Well, very fun. Oh, I wanted to say one other thing too, under Mayor Steff, is the Lockport flag raising's going up, right? You guys remember Zach and his team came up with the new flag for the city. So they're going to raise it at that park that Zach also helped fundraise for his Eagle Scout project. So that's coming up on Wednesday, July 2nd at 5:30 p.m. We'll do that, prior to council, and then we'll come back on over here. So very excited about seeing that go up. All right. Liaisons. What do you guys got? Anybody got something?
Yeah, I got a couple.
please.
Okay, first of all, Rich Herrig is retiring next month. Sad day in Lockport, but his replacement will, I'm sure, fill your shoes nicely as he retires and goes and enjoys life. And then we have a couple of other retirees. Donna today, is it today? Yeah, she's retiring June 27th after 36 years of service to the city of Lockport. And you're talking about a person whose attention to detail is bar none. She is on it all the time. The other one is Rusty Rogers. He's a city mechanic. He retires on June 20th after almost 17 years of service. So, great job, and then that's the thing that says a lot about Lockport. It's a great place to work. And the only way we can get rid of them is they retire. All good there. And then the other one I had was regarding the city building improvements. We were able to obtain a capital funds grant for the repairs and updates to the Lockport City Hall building. The city has been awarded $300,000 in the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity grant funding. These resources are intended to help with the necessary repairs of City Hall, which goes a long way because that was something that wasn't really budgeted. It just happened, and when things like that happen, it's nice to have money coming in from other sources to fill that bucket, and it's not that much more of a burden on the city of Lockport. So thank you, Rachel Ventura, for securing those funds for us. That's all I got.
Anybody else got anything good?
I do. There we go. We have two events coming up. The first one is about bugs. So if something's eating your cabbages and you don't know what it is, this is the event to go to. It's the 21st, Saturday, from 10 until noon. We're having a guest speaker talk about all types of insects from this area. Also, there is seating there, but please bring blankets or chairs just in case, because we do have a theater, but there's, I believe, only 15 seats. It's very informative, very fun lecture, and it's geared for, ages 2 to 99. And then the second thing is June 24th, which I believe is a Tuesday. It starts at 7, goes till 8. It's a quick, fast hour. And we're talking about the rain barrels and the composters that we have gotten in through the city. The city did a 50-50 match on the rain barrels and composting from the TCF, the Conservation Foundation. We'll be talking about that. Some things that might come up is you go ahead and fill your rain barrel, and then it's got this ick in there. What do you do with the ick? Do you feed it to your plants? Do you get rid of it? Also, is it maybe not good to feed your vegetables rain barrel water off of your roof? I'm not sure. Also, composting is, once you get a hang of it, it's pretty easy. How do you keep it from smelling? What's the right way to compost? So those two events are very informative, and they're free to the public. Anybody can come out and join us. We have a good time, and it's always fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, I don't have an official liaison report for the police department, but I did want to say thank you to Rich. Last couple of years have been great. I've had tons of questions. He's always been gracious, even when I ask dumb ones. And so I really appreciate you working with me. Thanks. And congratulations on your retirement, and I hope you enjoy it.
I've got one thing, hopefully it'll only take about a minute. We have, whom I believe is the most fascinating person that I've ever done research on, someone by the name of Thomas Jefferson Day that's buried in our cemetery. And he was with the 29th United States Colored Troops. And he most likely was a fugitive slave, came through Lockport, settled here. He's all the right age and all that other good stuff. 29th United States Colored Troops was a very famous unit. He was actually present and took part in the battle at early dawn on April 9th, 1865. That happens to be the day that Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Grant, and Jefferson Day was there. Afterwards, his regiment was sent down to New Orleans. They got on a boat, ended up over in Galveston, Texas, on June 19th, 1865, and he was one of the soldiers that went to a black church. It was called the Negro Church, where they actually had well over 1,000 slaves would go ahead and meet there on Sundays, and he was there. He may have read, I don't know if he read the order informing them they were free, but he was there, and plastering these notices. And that happened to be 160 years ago tomorrow, on Juneteenth, 1860. So we have a direct connection to Juneteenth here in Lockport. That's all.
Thanks, Darren. Anybody else got anything? All good? All right, my friends, then we'll move on to a consent agenda. Looking for a motion to have a consent agenda tonight.
Motion?
All right, Pat and Joanne, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so tonight we're looking for approval for the regular city council meeting minutes from June 4th, committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 4th, approval of a task order for V3 for the environmental cleanup and remediation estimates at 1728 South State, payroll period ending June 8th, special use permit for the planned residential rezone from C2 to R2, that's ordinance 25005. And then release of a bond and initial acceptance of site improvements for J&A sales. That's resolution 25054. So looking for approval.
Second.
Joanne and then Jonathan, and may we have a roll call, please?
You got it. King,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Galogly is absent. Birdbauer.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
Cardamone.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. First thing on the agenda is the appointment of John Arizzi as successor for Chief of Police upon the retirement of Rich Orang as the police chief for the department. That's resolution, or it's our action, so we're looking for a roll call to approve.
So moved?
Jonathan and Susan King, right on. Now, mind you, this doesn't mean he's taking command tonight, right, upon retirement, but this will
July
be
11th.
ready to rock and roll, so.
Resolution 25043 for successor to happen on July 11th, Rich's last day.
All right, if we could do a roll call, please.
You got it. King,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Galogly is absent. Birdbauer.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes.
Cardamone.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now, that said, Rich, I want to thank you. I know you don't like this stuff, but you're going to have to suffer through it. Yes.
Gonna have to suck it up.
You have been a huge, tremendous blessing to our city. When Terry moved on, you had big shoes to fill, a lot of changes that happened, but you took things even to a higher level, and I've been nothing but impressed with you and all the work you've done, your love for the department, for the officers, for the community, your beautiful wife and those crazy cats. Where's your wife? I know she's here tonight, right? Yes, there she is, right? And so I just want to thank you so much for all that you've done. In fact, we had something made, so come on, meet me over by the podium.
He's already pink, fully red by the time he gets home.
Something else to throw in the car when you go down to Tennessee, man, so. Yeah, present it to you on behalf of our council. Come on over here, so get the council in the background, please. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John Arizzi. You kept this one very quiet. Good job. So, yeah, this is very difficult. It really is. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for trusting me 4 years ago. Thank you, City Council, for really just everything you've done for me. Jonathan, you've been great to work with. Put a couple words together, if you don't mind. I want to say it's truly been an honor and a privilege to have been selected as the Chief of Police for this great city and to have served for the last 26 years. When I first put on the badge here in Lockport back in 1999, 26 years ago, I couldn't have imagined the journey that was ahead. Came into this profession with a strong sense of duty, and over time that sense of duty had only grown. I've seen the best and the worst of humanity. I've seen tragedy and triumph, heartbreak and healing, and through it all, I've seen the strength, resilience, and spirit of this great community. Being a police officer, as we always say, is never just a job. It's a profession. It's a career. It's a calling, and being the chief has been the greatest honor of my career. Every day I've been inspired by the brave men and women who wear the badge, especially the ones that I work with. As we all know, they run into danger when others would run away. They serve with integrity, and they carry the weight of responsibility with courage and grace. To my fellow staff, thank you. You become more than colleagues. We've stood alongside each other through tough times and difficult decisions. We have made great memories together. We've shared in laughter and successful outcomes. I'm proud of all the work that we've done together. I'm more proud of the people that all of you are. To the city leadership and residents, thank you for your trust and support. Law enforcement can be very, very challenging at times, well, most of the time. But we've always worked toward the same goal, to be safer, stronger, and a more unified community, and I believe we made real progress there. To my fellow officers, thank you. Thank you for your trust and support you have given me. Law enforcement can be very challenging, as I stated. But we've always worked together for that common goal of being a stronger, safer community, and I believe, again, we've made that progress together. Since my family's here, I want to thank my wife, Christina, my son, Colton, his fiancee, Katie. Thank you for all your love and support. Without it, I wouldn't be standing up here today. So thank you. As I step into retirement, I leave this position with peace in my heart. I know the department is in capable hands with John Rizzi. I know the mission continues, and I know that this community will keep moving forward together. In retirement, I look forward to spending more time with my family and finally be able to do things without my cell phone, which this is the farthest I've been away from it in a long time. But it constantly goes off, no matter what time of the day or night it is or the day of the week, but no matter where life is going to take me, a part of my heart will always wear the badge. Thank you for the memories, the challenges, the victories, and the honor of serving this great community. I'll miss every one of you, but not for another 3 weeks and 1 day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Can we just take a picture with them?
Wait, should they be over here? And we move out of the way? Maybe they should be here, and we should move out of the way.
The admin sergeant
Hey, Ben, you should come over here.
Ben? Yeah, Ben, come on.
There's a lot.
He drives a truck with a police van. You've got the only civilian
Very
sticker on the back of your
concerned.
truck. I feel like you should go up there. But I don't know if that's so many guns.
I feel very sad.
Nobody running down the street with TVs right now.
Police officer here.
Oh no, look at how happy they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to go.
Anybody look closely at the bullet on the bottom left? This one guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that guy. Welcome. Yes, how you doing? Nobody's glued to their
To
chair.
the officers that came, thank you.
Yeah, you're not retired yet, Rich, so I'm going to send you my 3 customary texts in the middle of the night, yeah. All right, you guys, not so exciting is looking for approval for passing of, approving the bills through June 10th. Exciting for Lisa, yes. Yeah, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Darren and Pat. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, we have a change order not to exceed $490,000 for plumbing lighting parts, the HVAC renovations. It's Ben, City Administrator, you got any comments on that, Ben?
Yeah, we just need a motion and a second.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to approve.
A motion.
No discussion?
After we do the motion. So Susan and, did anybody else? Who, anybody second?
I'll second.
Darren. Yeah, now, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this will be our first change order officially for the HVAC project. We did bring this up a little bit at Committee of the Whole last meeting when we added about $45,000 for asbestos removal. This was really about trying to maximize the opportunity of everybody being out of here and doing more plumbing and lighting. We wanted to include some additional areas and get as much as the horizontal and vertical plumbing done as we can, including a water softener and of course some patching. We also, with the recent news of getting the DCO grant, we're kind of separating out some of the projects, like on the first floor lobby. We're going to save that for when we get the $300,000 to complete those properly, but we think we can get everything else done in the building. This would still be under the original budget that we had put together for $3.2 million. So we're seeking approval to do an additional $75,000 in lighting, and with the balance for plumbing not to exceed $490,000 more for approving Resolution 25061.
All right.
I'm happy to answer any of the questions.
Pat, did you have something?
No, he covered.
Okay, all right, good. Anybody, everybody good? Then we'll do a roll call, please.
Yes.
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 All right, next, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 25051, award the Cove Avenue Water Main relocation project to Austin Tyler in the amount of $1.461175. So looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Darren? Second. Seconded by Joanne. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Then we will do a roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Aye. All right, next, we are looking for a motion to approve Resolution 052, which is awarding the 2025 stormwater project to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $213,950. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Darren?
Second.
Seconded by Christina, was that? Questions, thoughts, concerns, anything? All good? Then we'll do a roll call on that, please.
Yes.
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 Aye. All right, and the last construction project for the evening is we're looking for a motion to approve 25055, which is the sidewalk and ADA project to Strata Construction in the amount of $132,157.
So moved.
Darren, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Steve. And any thoughts, concerns, questions? Okay, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Aye. All right, so any new business? All right. I do have a comment card, but I think we'll put it on for the next meeting here as it pertains to that agenda item. So if there's nothing else, then we'll do a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I got Pat and Susan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then whenever you're ready, Kathy. Yeah, please.
All right. Roll call is King.
Present.
Hugh.
Present.
McDonald.
Here.
Malloy. Was absent, sorry. Birdbauer.
Here.
Deskin.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here.
Cardinal.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, Ben, you're up first with the IDNR lease agreement for the
Yes,
commuter.
thank you, Mayor. Yep, this would be Resolution 25049 for the renewal of a DNR lease agreement 5057. This is the Metro commuter parking lot. We've been doing these in 5- and 10-year increments. They reach out to us for the 10-year this time. We are looking at probably just paying this all at one time instead of trying to send them annual payments. But we're going to be asking for action on this. This is a standard lease with them, but one of the discrepancies we found is one of the pins that we owned, and so we're doing a little cleanup on the actual lease agreement itself that's in your packet. We will amend that before you vote on it if it comes in for the next meeting. It's just a small change, so we don't expect any issues, but we would request action, and it's renewing the lease with the DNR to operate the Metro station. We have lost some ridership over the years, but that's nothing we can really control since COVID. But it's come back a little bit, but we'd like to see it do more. So,
What's the total 10-year payment?
so it's $1,650 a year for 10 years, so it'd be $16,500.
All right.
Ben, the
It used to be $1,500.
the commuters that park there pay a daily fee, right?
Yeah, it's
How
like
does that
it's
offset?
cheap. It doesn't cover it all, and honestly. It's, one of the things that hurt us is when the Romaville station opened, we
Yeah.
lost some ridership there, and we lost with COVID. I forget what it is $1 a day or something? It's
Yeah.
$1, it's pretty cheap. Obviously, doesn't cover all of it. They do some salting, and they do some maintenance, but pretty much, we do the snow plowing, the majority of it for the lot, and maintain it. But it also brings people into the community that might stop and put, gas in their car, and we get some economic development impact from it too. So it's hard to quantify, but there is some of that. Certainly the coffee shop there locally, but we're not making money on this, so.
Yeah.
Subsidizing it to provide a service for the residents.
That by far is our biggest parking lot in the city, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do an action item. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah,
And then next is
it'll be action.
for the special use permit for the residential development at Cedar Ridge Estates, Sadie Ridge. Lance, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. This is related to ordinance 25006. This is for a special use permit for a planned residential development for a 260-unit residential development to include rezoning, final plat of subdivision, and preliminary final development plan review for the property generally located north of Bruce Road, east of I-355, and south of Cedar Ridge Estates. It is called Sadie Ridge. You can see the aerial photo on your screen. 355 is to the left. Bruce Road runs along the south edge of the red box. Cedar Ridge is directly north of the red box. And east of there is the village of Homer Glen, and west of there is Prime Boulevard and the Prime Business Park. The applicant, Greg Collins, on behalf of MI Homes of Chicago, has submitted development plans for the former Steeplechase Site 2 of 8, a 78.4 acre site for a 260-unit single-family townhome residential neighborhood for the property located in that red box. MI Homes presented Sadie Ridge to the City Council in 2024, originally as a 318-unit single-family development. The council approved a revised version after a couple go-arounds of that concept plan that reduced the total number of units to the currently presented 260. Additionally, the revision removed the smallest single-family models that they had on that plan. MI Homes, on your screen, here's a picture of the site. Lots of corn, currently. MI Homes subsequently submitted the preliminary final development plans and a final plat of subdivision that are in conformance with the approved concept plan. The applicant was seeking R1 and R2 zoning districts. However, R3 is necessary instead of the R2 due to the townhomes being 6-unit buildings. R2 only allows 4. So the quantity of homes isn't any different. It's just simply a function of the quantity of units that are in that structure. All the same size units as they would have been in a 4-unit building. It's just a function of the geometry. Going to go through some of the other slides. I don't know why I'm having this problem. Happened the last time too. Anyways, on the right side of the screen, there would be a plan of subdivision that shows the layout for it. Hopefully, it'll show up at some point. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. To the left, you see what would be a standard lot for the attached single-family homes, and in the lower left-hand corner is a typical single-family home. There are a couple modifications that are being requested as a part of the plan development. In the R1 section, which is primarily the eastern section, north side and south side in the southeast corner, our code required is a lot area of 9,000 square feet average. What we need to do with this is, because we need to identify a floor, which would be the 7,200 square feet minimum. However, the average, which is what we evaluate it based on, is over 9,000 square feet. So the average lot size for all the single-family detached homes is 9144, and that's what we evaluate based on the code. But in order to establish a floor for that lot size, in case somebody else wants to come in and build a different home or something, we identify the 7,200, which is their 60 by 120 lot. Similarly, lot width, our standard is 75 feet. The request is for 60 feet. That covers 83 of the 132 lots. So there are 49 that are more than 60 feet and are 75 feet minimum. Maximum lot coverage of 30%. They are actually under this with the current layout. However, we always like to buffer it a little bit in case people want to add a patio, they want to add a deck, they want to add an enclosed porch, something like that on 10, 15, 20 years down the road. We want to provide a little bit of that buffer to allow those residents to do that. Corner side yard is very similar to what was allowed in Silo Bend, going from 25 to 20, and the interior side yard going from 10 feet to 7 feet, or 10% of the lot width. Most of the homes, when you look at the exact layout, are more than 10 feet. This is just simply to allow for the absolute widest home model that they have. In the R3 section, this is always a challenge for us. We've talked about this before. Our maximum impervious surface is 50% in there. That relates to when R2 is a single-family lot with smaller lots in it. This is a townhome development, and so on the next slide, I show a little bit of something that explains this. So on the right, you see basically the layout of the townhomes, and the dashed line around it is their property line. So that is what somebody owns when they buy a townhome. To the left, you see the layout of the general townhomes, and you can see dashed lines around each one of those townhome units. Now, the interesting thing about this is when you actually look at the open space that surrounds those lots, it's significantly more. And so when we talk about lot coverage, because the property lines are so close around the building itself, it doesn't reflect the total size of the lot. So if you imagine your regular single-family home, your lot goes all the way from the sidewalk to where you meet your neighbor's property line in the back. Imagine if your property line was only 5 feet outside the front of your home, 10 feet behind your home, 5 feet on the side and 5 feet on that, there'd be a whole lot of lawn around that area that's counted as impervious, but when we look at the zoning code and apply just the percentages, that's what shoots those numbers way up. So aggregate, when you look at the overall townhome development, they are significantly below those numbers, but because we have to assign it per lot, that's why they rise above that. It's a quirk of our code because we need to reflect both the R2 single-family detached homes, that would be your typical lot, that are smaller, but we also need to accommodate attached single-family homes that have a different lot configuration and a little bit different ownership situation, because your HOA takes care of a large amount of property around those properties, around those property lines, as opposed to what you find in your single-family home, where each of you is responsible for mowing your yard. In a townhome, you may be responsible for the 5 feet around your house to plant some flowers, but you have somebody else mowing your grass, which is commonly owned. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. Your final site plan is the site plan on your right, the listing of all the different unit sizes, what percentage those take up of each of them are on your left. You will see a lighter shade of yellow and a darker shade of yellow on the graphic to your right. The darker shades of yellows are the ones that are 60 feet wide. The lighter shades of yellows are the ones that are 75. As we talked about throughout our concept plan development, we wanted to make sure that the larger lots were proximate to where Cedar Ridge is, proximate to the neighbors to the east, and then we were going to start to gradually get a little bit more dense as you go southwest towards what could be a future interchange at Bruce Road and 355, but for sure is impacted by sound and a number of other things that would warrant that slightly higher density than what we find in the single-family home. Landscape plan meets all of our standards, all of our ordinances. The two plans that you see on the left are what will be installed on every townhome building. It's very similar to what you would see in Silo Bend today. Each one has a standard landscape package. You can amend that obviously over time, but everybody begins with a certain amount so that we have that as a starting point. The lower left-hand image is what the standard landscape package is around a single-family detached home. So every house gets a standard landscape package. We define it based on a point system. So a tree is worth this much, shrubs are worth this much, perennials are worth this much. Ultimately, you get up to what we term 40 points, and that is what we allocate for a single-family home. These are the elevations for the townhome. The upper one is a 6-unit townhome. The lower one is a 5-unit townhome. There is also a 4-unit townhome that is the same as what you see in Silo Bend. With the architecture, and our applicant is going to go through a little bit more of the elevations that they have, but there are, I would say, fairly significant departures from what you see in Silo Bend. Still the same quality architecture that you see, still the same quality materials, but just different designs so that we don't have something that matches something directly north of where they are. Different color palettes will be on these as well. So, with these single-family homes, again, MI Homes has provided us with a number of different models and a whole number of different variations within those models. Overall, there are 35 different architectural elevations that a homeowner could choose from within Cedar Ridge. We feel like they have a very striking package, and if any of you have visited Silo Bend, you can see the general quality of the homes that they are constructing there. Our request from a staff level is to place ordinance 25006 on the July 2nd, 2025 City Council meeting agenda for action or consent, and I am going to have Caitlin Chuck come up and present on behalf of MI Homes. I am going to switch this real quick. Same thing as last time.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening, my name is Caitlin Chuck with the law firm Rosenov and Whitaker, and I'm here on behalf of MI Homes. With me this evening, I have Greg Collins of MI Homes, Brian Ratajczyk from Spaceco, our civil engineer, and Louie Abuna, our traffic engineer. So we are all happy to answer any questions that you might have. Many of you are familiar with MI Homes, but here's just a little bit of background for any new faces that are here tonight. MI is one of the nation's leading home builders and have built over 150,000 homes in the last 40 years. The Chicago division was opened in 2007, and since then we have communities all across the Chicagoland area, currently actively selling in Naperville, Aurora, Plainfield, South Elgin, and of course we just wrapped up sales here in Lockport. MI has maintained a consistent presence here in Lockport since delivering the Sagebrook community in 2017. Most recently, we constructed homes at Silo Bend, which is located just north of 167th Street, and Silo Bend is officially sold out. Wanting to continue that constant presence and investment here in Lockport, MI Homes is seeking to develop approximately 78 acres of property located north of Bruce Road, east of I-355. As Lance mentioned, this property is bound by existing single-family homes to the north and to the east, and then there's a prime business campus located immediately west. The property was originally annexed as part of the McNaughton Steeplechase mixed-use development in 2007. In 2009, a mixed residential site plan and associated zoning was approved. The zoning was built around the 2009 plan approvals with a combination of single-family and multifamily zoning districts, so it was zoned R1, R2, and R3. The approved plan contemplated an age-restricted housing community consisting of single-family, duplex, and townhome units, but despite the approved zoning, development has not proceeded over the last 15 years. Turning to Sadie Ridge, you'll see the initial intent was to draw similarities to the originally approved plan from 2009 with a mix of 3 distinct different types of housing. So we were first before the Plan Commission on October 8th of last year. On the far left of the slide, you'll see the plan that was presented to the Plan Commission at that time. That plan consisted of a total of 318 homes comprised of 3 different home products. So we had 108 43-foot wide lots, which was MI's newer small lot single-family line. That was located central to the community, and it's highlighted there in orange. We had 37 75-foot wide lots, which is MI's traditional single-family homes. This was located along the north and east property lines, and then we had 173 two-story rear-loaded townhomes along the western portion of the property. This plan also included a 2.5-acre park site. We then revised our site plan following the conversation at PZC. That revised plan was presented to Committee of the Whole on November 6th of last year. That plan is shown here in the middle. The townhomes in the northwest corner of the site were removed and replaced with a mix of traditional single-family and smaller lot single-family homes. These revisions resulted in a reduction of 33 units for a total of 285 homes. Following the constructive conversation we had at Committee of the Whole last year, MI went back to the drawing board and wanted to address all the concerns raised by the residents, the Plan Commission, and this City Council. The final plan on the far right side of the slide represents a total reduction of 58 units for a total of 260 homes. The smaller lot single-family series was completely removed, so this plan consists of 132 traditional single-family lots and 128 of MI's front-loaded townhome series, and this was to better accommodate the new site plan. In addition, the park site increased to 3.2 acres, and this plan received concept approval last December. To recap the site plan changes again, this is just a unit breakdown from where we started to where we are today. So from Plan Commission to Committee of the Whole, small lot and large lot single-family unit counts increased in order to account for the significant reduction in townhomes, especially where they were adjacent to Cedar Ridge. Between Committee of the Whole and Council, the small lot single-family option was completely eliminated, and we are now reduced to 260 units from 318. All of this to say, we heard the residents, we heard the Plan Commission, we heard the members of this council, and we took the concept process very seriously. MI has worked really hard to address all of the concerns that were raised prior to the meetings, and we've been diligently working with staff since then as well. So upon receiving concept approval, we're now before you with the site plan that matches the plan that was approved last December. As you can see, small lot single families aren't here. We now have a density of 3.33 units per acre. This is in line with the city's recommended density for the property and the approved density for the 2009 plan. Vast majority of the site will be comprised of MI's traditional single-family homes. The southwest corner of the site, as Lance mentioned, it's proximate to the interchange, and it will provide that nice, appropriate transition from the interchange to the single-family homes in the area by providing that townhome product over there. Primary access will be provided from Bruce Road with a secondary access connecting to the existing stub at Sprucewood Drive to the north into Cedar Ridge. Nearly 25 acres, or 32% of the property, is comprised of open space. This includes 3 detention basins sized in accordance with Will County stormwater regulations. We also have a 3-acre park site, as I mentioned, that's central to the community. We've been coordinating with the Park District, who's in agreement with the size of the site, and we'll continue to work with them regarding the ultimate design and improvement of the space. We'll have an 8-foot multi-use trail extending throughout the community. The path system will extend north and south down the 85-foot pipeline easement along the eastern portion of the community, and it will also extend throughout the community through the park site, and there's a trail connection in the northeast into the Cedar Ridge subdivision, so we're trying to provide that path connectivity for the greater regional trail. There are 2 gas pipelines running north and south along the east property line that I just mentioned. So to accommodate the requirements of the gas companies, we planned a very generous 85-foot setback between the east property line and the adjacent single-family homes. So that also provides a nice setback from the proposed homes and the existing homes to the Homer Glen subdivision to the east. We also will have a no-mow fescue in that area to create a nice natural buffer between the communities. This is just a site plan within the context of the surrounding area, so you'll see the single-family series is aligned with the single-family to the north and the east. Regarding traffic, Bruce Road carries an average of 3,850 vehicles per day. During the morning and evening peak hours, the development is only expected to generate about 157 and 200 in trips respectively, or between 4 to 5% of the daily trips on Bruce Road. So with that, Bruce Road can certainly handle the level of traffic that's expected to be generated from the community during those peak travel hours. Quickly wanted to touch base on stormwater. Since concept approval, we've been diligently working with the city and the engineering team in order to address stormwater issues. So as it stands today, there is no stormwater management. Water continues to pool in certain locations. Specifically, you'll see the drainage area in blue is significant, and that's actually the southeast corner. This is turned on its side, I apologize. So you have to the north is located on the right side of your screen, and then we have to the west up top, east is below, and then south is to the left. So specifically, the drainage area in blue is significant. That's the southeast corner of the property. It currently has 20.68 acre-feet of water that drains to that area. Our project will be designed in accordance with the Will County's stormwater requirements. So with that, you can expect some pretty significant and drastic improvements to the current conditions. Upon development, we're significantly shrinking up that amount of water that's currently draining to the southeast corner of the site by 88%. So this diagram shows here that the blue area significantly shrinks up, and it's being picked up by the green area and being rerouted west. So we're making things much better by virtue of development. Quickly touching on elevations, this is MI's traditional single-family home. These homes will range from 1,700 to 3,000 square feet. There are about 7 different floor plans and will meet the diverse needs and wants of all different types of buyers. We'll have several different elevations to make sure that anti-monotony is maintained throughout the community, and as Lance mentioned, these are a bit different from Silo Bend. This is MI's Charleston Townhome series. These townhomes are the traditional front-loaded townhomes ranging from 1,500 to 2,100 square feet. In comparison to the Lincoln Square townhomes that were previously proposed last year, those are generally smaller, with the maximum size being at about 1,500 square feet. We felt the Charleston series is more aligned with the city's goals and objectives for the site based upon the larger unit feedback that we received during the concept process. I'd also like to point out that at least one unit in each of the townhome buildings will feature a first floor master bedroom, so that will help cater to the move-down buyer as well. These are just some interior photos of our homes. So generally, you can expect to have, the homes will have open space concept and offer several upgrades for additional features and spaces. All homes will have modern appliances, designs, and features. So with that, here's just some more pretty pictures of our interiors. And with that, I want to thank this council for your time and consideration. We are proud to partner with the city of Lockport, and we look forward for the opportunity to provide another great addition to the city. So thanking staff for their time and support as well. Our team is all available for here for any questions you have.
I just have a comment. I looked at the single-family home elevations, and it's amazing how many different variations you offer, which gives the buyer great, you know, you're not cookie cuttering. And I'm looking at, oh, that's a really nice feature to have that on the first floor or that over there. So I think you guys did a really nice job of the layout of the buildings. I think it'll make people appreciate the home a lot more.
Can you give us just an idea, base price on some of these, on the three?
Sure. So the single family are expected to start in about the mid 500s, and the townhomes are expected to start in the high 300s, expected to
That's
sell
the
in the
base
mid
price.
4s. Yep.
Okay.
I have 3 questions. I'm not sure for who, though. So the traffic emptying into the neighborhood to the north, we feel comfortable with that because there's enough egress to Bruce, and the other was going east, so we're good there. Any question mark sidewalks, or do we have complete sidewalks in the neighborhood?
We have complete sidewalks on both
Fantastic.
sides of the street throughout the entire neighborhood.
Fantastic.
Including bike paths.
And my last question is, I mean, and I'm sure this has been discussed before, but obviously this is a lot of people added. I mean, the police force can handle, again, where we currently are with a neighborhood that big.
Yeah, as the city grows, the calls for service will dictate that, but as of right now, we don't see any concerns whatsoever with what's coming in.
Okay. Thanks, that's it.
Thank you.
Do you guys have you took the eastern road, it had a little bend in it, in the committee of the whole approval, long straightaway now. Do you guys have any stop signs on that? Is there anything to break up that speed?
Yeah, so we are going to have a stop sign right at the park. So I don't know if you can go back to a site plan on that.
Sure can.
So this was one of the questions that came up from the Cedar Ridge neighborhoods, appropriately so. If you see where the green circle or the green area is pretty much in the middle of the plan, there is a planned stop sign, 3-way stop sign, because there's only 3 legs to that intersection, that will provide for egress and access for the bike trail, so that when kids or others are riding the bike trail east to west on that area, they'll be able to go across at a stop-controlled intersection, as well as it slowing down cars as they continue on through the neighborhood from south to north, as well as from north to south, too.
Lance, when you say the east-west bike trail, does that connect to the Veterans Memorial Trail to the west? Or do you have to go up north to get to it?
It would only connect via Cedar Ridge's trail
Okay, so
network.
up north.
We do not have a trail that goes through Prime Boulevard via Cedar Ridge. However, there is a trail that connects Cedar Ridge to Prime Boulevard to the north, right at Wall Street, and just a little bit south of there where B&B Foods is. So is there a direct connection? No, but there is a connection via what we would consider our local regional system to be able to get to the Veterans Memorial Trail, as well as all the way through Cedar Ridge. So when you get through Cedar Ridge, you can connect to Victoria Crossings, which connects to Silo Bend, which connects to the VMT. So there are a number of different ways to be able to get through that area on a bike.
Well, and Lance, to your point, I lived on a bend before, and a bend, while pretty, is almost a little bit, it can be a little bit more dangerous. I think that's a perfect spot for a stop sign, because, I too, that's one of my concerns. That was voiced actually to us earlier today, as you know, but that's always one of my concerns, so I think a stop sign there fixes that issue.
Yeah.
And I was actually asking for the long straightaway on the road furthest to the east, because you guys have it on the bend, which is fine, next to the park, but that,
You're talking about the farthest east
Yeah.
street that goes north-south.
right,
I don't know if there is a stop, honestly, I have not looked at the stop controls at those intersections, but if it's something that we think we need to add, we can certainly study it. Given the limited quantity of homes that are there and no real adjacent neighborhood connection on that street, it's really just self-serving from a street standpoint.
it's just like, look, we've all lived in neighborhoods. You just know when you got a long straightaway,
Yeah.
that's a 0 to 60 mile an hour straightaway, So that's the only thing I'm thinking about, how to break that up.
Yeah, we can absolutely look at that.
And let me ask you a question, and I know, people all the time, they always call like, hey, can't we get some speed bumps in our neighborhood? And it's always the problem with plows, right? If you guys ever, how does that work of doing like more of that tabletop, and I'm not pushing it for this, but I'm asking a general question, it's like more of a tabletop piece, how do those work with plows? You guys find those to be problematic?
Yeah, I mean, anything you have when you put a obstruction in the roadway is going to be a problem with the plow of it. So speed bumps and you don't see a lot of speed tables around here. What we rather did is me and Lance worked on this, and this is one of the subdivisions. Those streets to the east, the main corridor from Bruce to Sadie Ridge, currently that is a wider street, more of a collector. The other streets are actually reduced down to 25. So by narrowing the street, you also reduce the speed. So there's other measures than causing speed bumps and like stop signs, which while they feel like they stop people from speeding, they actually increase speed because they need to make up the time of stopping. So if they're going to try to get somewhere fast, they slam on their brakes, and really then they're just accelerating faster to get by that stop sign. So stop signs are more for controlling people where there's going to be congestion of cross traffic, or like at this point where the park is and kids and bike paths. So that's where we would kind of want to concentrate stop signs at. But yeah, just by narrowing the roadways themselves, you'll start to see a reduction in speed. The wider the lane, the wider the road width, the faster cars feel safe to kind of speed up and go by each other, so. One of the things that we talked about earlier today is, you know, we looked at is a stop sign where it connects into Cedar Ridge, is that a location that we might want to consider for a stop sign? I'm sure as nearly everybody in the room has probably experienced, when there's nobody at an intersection and you're just in a residential neighborhood, the amount of time that you sit there and stop at a stop sign is probably relatively limited, and because you want to hurry up and get home, you oftentimes accelerate faster out of that stop sign to go to make up the time that you had to wait at the stop sign occurs. So having it be that close to Cedar Ridge, we almost felt like there will be faster cars going into Cedar Ridge from the south to the north with a stop sign there than if it was stopped a little bit further south where they can moderate their speed as they're going through the neighborhood. And to Brian's point, we're really intentionally looking at our street widths throughout the city. Brian and his team have looked at adding what we would call a neighborhood street cross-section as opposed to everything being basically a collector size street. So our former standard was almost 30 feet wide. We're now down to 25 feet wide in those areas. And so having those slightly narrower lanes allows for speed to slow down a little bit. And so we've done those in all the non-connection streets. So those areas, like to the mayor's point about the street to the east, that is one of those narrower interior streets that we would consider, but the main connection between the two neighborhoods is a little bit wider and therefore justifies that stop sign.
We can come back later and address stop signs, you know, as the neighbors say, hey, this is a problematic area. I like the idea of having the first stop sign at the bottom end of the park, but maybe also have a stop sign on the other end of the park, because you got kids playing and whatnot, they're darting out maybe into the street and whatnot, and that kind of slows it down between in front of the park. It might be a safety thing, but you can also look at it later and determine places where you really think you need it.
As we found out, we get requests for stop signs on neighborhoods that are 150 years old, so we will certainly consider those as they come up.
I had a quick question just regarding we're talking about traffic here, is the S-curve on Bruce Road. Has there been any progress with doing something to make it a little more safe, since we're going to have a lot more traffic from this subdivision hitting Bruce Road?
So that is a Will County DOT road.
Yeah.
We don't have any jurisdictional control over it. We did reach out to Will County DOT, and the applicant has to go through Will County DOT for their connection at Bruce Road. And so Will County DOT provides all of the geometry for what that intersection is going to look like, and that is what is requiring a 3-lane cross-section. Basically, the intersection with Bruce Road will look just like it does at Division Street for the entrance into Silo Bend. To your question, though, about the S-curve, we had New Lenox provide us with their traffic study for the Tierling Lakes subdivision that's going in on the former Tierling Nursery property, which is pretty significant development. We integrated those numbers into our traffic study, and it still does not show. We also did a crash analysis over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, I don't remember the exact duration on that, to study how many crashes have occurred there, what types of crashes. We have provided that all to Will County DOT. They understand that there are concerns. They do not have a plan currently on the books to modify that intersection, but that doesn't mean that it won't be in the future.
Okay.
And I'm sure that as development changes, or certainly if an interchange ever came through, a lot of those things would be the triggers for modifications such as that, but currently they do not have a plan, and this traffic amount did not trigger them to relook at that.
All right, friends, anything else? All right, you guys want to do an action or consent?
We're recommending action because of the public hearing that'll take place on July 2nd, and we'll have an amended annexation agreement.
Action it is.
Yeah, this will include an amended annexation agreement that will come through. It's basically very similar to what we have at Silo Bend, but that still needs a public hearing.
Very good. All right, next we've got a facade and a site improvement grant. So what do you got, Lance?
At the bottom.
Full sign?
Right there. Thank you, Mayor. This is related to Resolution 25058. This is the facade and site improvement grant for 1500 Briggs Street in the amount of $6,505.40. The applicant, Carl Michelson, on behalf of St. Paul's Lutheran Church, is requesting funds through the city's grant. This is going to be a replacement property. This is going to be a replacement sign for their existing masonry sign that they currently have on the property. St. Paul's is located outside the target area focus for the grant. However, the City Council has the authority to award grants as long as they are supportive of the objectives and improvements outlined in the program outside of that target area. Most recently, the Council approved a site improvement grant for Rocco's east of the grant area on 159th Street, as well as Hamilton Lofts at 10th and Hamilton Streets. 2 contractor bids for the new sign were received for the project. Additionally, a third quote request was submitted by Stewart Signs, but they refused to submit a quote because of the masonry base requirement. The facade grant program allows for a 50% match up to $20,000 per facade and $10,000 for site improvements with a maximum of $50,000 per property. The applicant's eligible for the 650540, which is 50% of the lowest bid and is the maximum allowed for the facade improvements. To date, for 2025, the City Council has approved $51,961.64 of our budgeted $100,000 in the grant budget. The applicant is eligible for that maximum total of $6,500. Including this grant, the City Council will have approved $58,467 of the $100,000 budgeted amount, which would be 58%. Staff recommends approval of the facade grant request and request that it be put on the next council agenda for action or consent.
All right, questions, thoughts, concerns?
So it shows an estimated cost at $13,000, and I think the email in there explained why it's like I think the bid was like $8,000 for the sign. We don't pay out until they provide proof of payment.
Yeah,
and that's like to cover their estimated cost of landscaping and things.
Well, so there were 2 pieces to that bid. One is the sign itself, the other is the masonry base, and that's what totaled the $13,000. We do not pay out on this until we are submitted receipts that they have paid for the sign in total, that they have released, that the contractors have released all liens on the property if something happened during construction, and so that's when the payout occurs.
Can you remind me, have we done any facade grants for any churches, houses of worship?
Shepherd of the Hill. was redone last year, 2024, I believe.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts, questions?
I'm embarrassed that I didn't catch this last time for Shepherd of the Hill, but I feel like it doesn't feel right, because this is a church, so, and I go to church every Sunday, and if we need something, we raise money through the people that attend that church. So I'm struggling a little bit with that idea. I know Steve and I had talked about this, because this kind of bothers me. There should be a separation, because, and also this money is from gambling, which is, kind of an odd thing to have the church accept this award. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Am I just alone in thinking that there should be a separation between church and state?
For me, I don't have a problem with it being like it's a separation for church and state thing. I guess the argument might be that, and if telling somebody else, well, I don't like your hypocrisy because of gaming money, that's not my call to make a judgment on. That's people who ask. I make no judgment there. I guess for me, the one thing would be, churches are not on the tax rolls, right? So if they're not putting taxes in, is it appropriate to take taxes out? We've said these aren't property taxes. They're gaming funds, and we use them to beautify the city. I mean, one thing I think, as we were talking about this, Christina, like, is there, and again, we didn't ask Shepherd of the Hill to do any of these things, but as more churches ask, perhaps, maybe it's something to bring up, are there things that we could seek partnerships with? For instance, Lance, I remember we were talking about a community garden. It's a large piece of property in the back, there's tall grass, it's kind of left to go. Is there ways to work together with, even Shepherd of the Hill has huge property. I mean, going back and asking them now is kind of disingenuous, but as we move forward, is like asking to open up a discussion with, their board and about, are there shared uses of the property that could be more benefit the community? If it's not tax rolls, then is there other ways to work together to add kind of ways to not justify so much as, I don't know, if they're not paying taxes, there are other ways to do this. That would be my 2 cents about it, if there was a real concern. I don't have a problem with the separation of, churches.
Yep, I think it's a separate argument. I think, going a little deeper, it's okay, should we be doing things like this anyway? I'm the newest, so I'm going to say this has probably been discussed by people that have a lot more experience than I, so I have no problem doing it, and I certainly have no problem doing it for, for a house of worship. It doesn't bother me about the taxes, because, we can talk about the Metro lot. We're not making money on it, but we know people are buying gas and buying donuts and drinking coffee and doing those things. So I don't have any issues with that whatsoever, because, again, we have, maybe not in this town, but, some people in business may not have been incredibly scrupulous the way they do things, and they've been provided, dollars to help improve their property.
That's true.
So, anyway, I don't have an issue with it.
I initially thought the same thing that Christina did. And if we did not use video gaming revenue for this facade program, and if it was property taxes, then I would have opposed a facade grant. But the funds are available, and through a non-property tax revenue stream, and an improvement of a sign at that place that I pass by multiple times a day. I actually had to go look to see what their current sign looks like because I'm always taking a right or taking a left. I never look onto their property. So while I understand the concern, I don't have any problem with this.
Any other thoughts?
I'm kind of with you. I don't have any issues with this. I think it's a benefit that we provide our community for the facade grant, and if it is a thoroughfare where a lot of people are either coming into the city on Briggs there or leaving, so it is, to me, the facade part of it is legit too, because people will see it. And it's kind of a community building thing as well. And like to Steve's point, that people might be coming in from other communities to that church, and they might be shopping or doing other things while they're at their place of worship afterwards.
That's a good point, Darren. I was taking my grandsons to camp this morning, and I drove by the church, I looked at the sign, it looked dated, and there's no doubt about it. I think the whole idea of the facade being more of a welcoming to the business, like they're taking care of the front of the property, hey, let's go check it out. From a Christian perspective, the more people that you can draw into the building, I think is a benefit to the community. But Christine's comment, I didn't really take that angle until she brought it up, but I don't really have an issue with, including them in there, so.
And I too, Christian, never even thought about that, to tell you the truth. But like everyone has mentioned, the people that do go to church there, they do shop, there might even be residents, so they're paying, one way or another. It's a good point, though, but I don't have a problem, though, in going forward.
I don't, after hearing everybody, I don't have a problem either, but it was just something that was kind of bothering me, like, it didn't feel right. Yeah.
Never even thought about that, yeah.
I appreciate the thoughtfulness. I do. So then it sounds like we're okay with a consent on this? All right. And not as an obligation to receiving this, if you wouldn't mind reaching out about the community garden, just to have a conversation, but not asking tit for tat, just like to open the conversation. Okay. All right, we'll put it on for consent. Thank you. Thank you for the thoughtful questions. Lastly, we have concept plan for 120-unit assisted senior livings. So
Our last case for the night is related to Resolution 25057. Rod Burkett of Garden, on behalf of Will County MC- or LLC, has submitted concept plans for a 120-unit assisted living senior apartment development known as Heritage Woods, which is a multifamily residential community located on the south end of an overall 18.6 plus or minus acre property, generally located north of 163rd Street and east of Gauger Road. For reference on your screen, the road along the south edge of that red box is 163rd. The road with the big 7 on it is 159th Street. This property is a very long-shaped property. The actual development area that they are looking to develop for the community is just the yellow box. It is not the entire red box. What happens to the rest of the north half? Probably for the short term, it might continue to be farmed. It may be integrated into a larger development at some point in the future, but for the current development and the current proposal for a concept plan, it is just the yellow area that is shown there. Here's a picture of what it looks like. It looks very similar to the Sadie Ridge existing picture. It's a lot of farm stuff. On your screen is a zoning plan. The subject property is currently zoned A1 agricultural. It is unincorporated, and so this will trigger a annexation agreement. The property is vacant with the frontage onto 163rd Street, and the applicant is only developing the lower 7.4 acres of the parcel at this time. Heritage Woods is a 3-story assisted living apartment building that would be licensed to accept both Medicaid waiver and private pay. The units are for seniors that are 65 and older. Our applicant will come up and give you a little bit more detail on their residence. The proposed apartments provide personal assistance and support services in addition to social and recreational activities. There are a total of 120 apartments proposed. That's made up of 46 that are studios and 74 that are one-bedrooms. All are fully functional, having kitchenettes, private bathrooms, and independent climate controls. The site plan shows that the development will have an approximate density of 16.21 units per acre on the 7.4 acres. It's 10.5 if you include the entire 18. The site plan also illustrates a 99,500 square foot building having detention along 163rd Street and an access driveway at the southeast corner of the site on your screen. North is to the left, south is to the right, east is to the north. Otherwise, if I rotated it normal, it would be tiny on the screen. So I wanted to make it as big as possible so we can make sure that we see it. This item went before the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 10th at their regularly scheduled meeting. One other item I'll show you, this is the proposed architecture for the facility. They have built a number of heritage woods across the area. Again, our applicant will kind of give you a little bit more detail on their experience and their knowledge, as well as show you some imagery of some of the other heritage woods around us. But this is what is currently proposed for Lockport's heritage woods. I'm going to turn it over to our applicant, and Teresa is going to walk you through their business and what they do.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to present our project tonight. I'm here with Ed Patton from Horvay Construction, who is our partner, co-owner, and manager of construction. I'm also here with Joe Hammer, who is with the local engineering firm, and I'm also here with Chrissy Cars, our VP of Clinical and Quality Services. So thank you again for letting us be here. My name is Teresa Wester Peters, and I'm the COO for Gardent. And Gardent is an Illinois-based corporation based in Kankakee. We are about 25 years old. We were formed in 1999 with our mission to serve the underserved, to serve seniors who might be in need of Medicaid services and need assistance and care in their local communities. We started with 2 licenses back in 1999 that were awarded to us by the state of Illinois. And over the past 25 years, we've grown to be the largest provider of assisted living in Illinois and in the Midwest. We currently manage about 95 properties, and we have about 8,500 apartments throughout the United States, primarily in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And we do have 70 of those 95 are located here in the state of Illinois. So we have developed and manage successfully many communities, some of which you may be familiar with. Heritage Woods of Bolingbrook, very few, short 10, 11 miles from here, I believe. We also manage Heritage Woods of Plainfield. Anything Heritage Woods that you're familiar with is Gardent managed. And then Heritage Woods of Manuka as well. All of these properties that we manage have experienced a very quick fill of occupancy, which speaks to the demand and the need in all of our local communities. All of our occupancies in these communities range from 94 to 98% at any given day. We also manage properties in Batavia, Heritage Woods of Batavia, South Elgin, Manuka, Downers Grove, Lansing, Yorkville, et cetera, or just some of those that are very proximate to our community here. By regulation, all of our communities require that if we move in, we are 65 years of age or older. So while that is the rule, the state of Illinois rule, our resident averages the age of about 84 to 85. We all know that most 65-year-olds want to live at home as long as possible. And so the average age is 84 to 85. Our mission is that when that 84-year-old needs services, we provide such with dignity and integrity. We also provide services based on an individualized care plan. And that might mean that you need help with bathing. It might mean that you need help with medications. You need help with food preparation, dressing. But all of our care plans are very individualized for our residents, those 8,500 residents that we serve throughout our portfolio. We do provide 3 meals per day. We have a fully licensed kitchen in our communities, and we provide 24-hour care. So all of our communities do have 24/7 on-site staff and certified nursing aides on every shift, and who are supervised by our RNs and LPNs. So we wanted to share that as well. We do provide housekeeping, we provide laundry. We have a bus, a 12-passenger bus that we use, and you might see some of them driving around if you know some of our local communities. These are handicap accessible buses that take our residents to shopping trips, the theater, restaurants, etc., in order to bring our residents out into the greater community. We also use the bus for transportation to medical appointments, so that's important to know as well. So our residents they're our family members. They're our parents. They are us, for some of us that are they are our neighbors. They are our church-going friends. They are our aunts and our uncles. They are all of us. They are everybody that we see that are trying to really maneuver the challenges of aging. And those are the residents that we serve. With our participation in the Illinois Medicaid program, and Gardent has been a pioneer in affordable assisted living throughout the country. With this participation in the Medicaid program, we are very proud of the fact that we can serve people that would otherwise be going to skilled nursing facilities, because that is where the Medicaid program is limited for many of our communities. So we are very proud of the fact that our program allows residents to have their own apartment, to have their own privacy, and the dignity of being able to support and participate and partner in their own care. So these properties are licensed by the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services. This state agency has limited the number of licenses in the state of Illinois to just 160 throughout the state. In fact, this proposed Lockport community is the last license that our company has to provide health care services to seniors who are in need. That is important for us. The state has approved this license for us because a market study demonstrated extreme need of senior services that is affordable in the state of Illinois for this specific community. They found that within a 10 to 12 mile radius, that there is a complete void of affordable assisted living for seniors. And thus, without this proposed project, our family members are leaving the area or they are moving into skilled nursing facilities unnecessarily. We have had a third-party market study done by the Chicago-based firm Cooper Valuation, and this well-known firm has indicated that this community could really bear up to 192 units. This project is 120 units, so what it can bear is well above what we are proposing tonight. Their study also projected that it will take no more than 9 to 12 months to fully occupy this property. That is exceptional, and it again reflects the need in this community. At that stabilized occupancy, that 94 to 98% occupancy, we will have up to 60 full-time positions for citizens of this community. That equals about $2.9 million in salaries, payroll, benefits, etc. We are, and I have people that are much more knowledgeable about the building. I'm knowledgeable about what we do and how we care for residents, but we are here to answer any questions that you may have, and we appreciate greatly the opportunity to be here tonight and for you all to listen. We appreciate you.
Where have you been? We have needed you a
Oh,
long time ago.
well, we're so happy to be here, and we feel so welcomed. I've heard about how welcoming you all have been. So-
I do have a question. Is it a monthly rent, or do they have to put down a huge
That's
payment?
No, so it is a monthly rent, and based on if you're Medicaid, you only pay your Social Security minus some spending money, and if you are private pay, there is a very mid-market rate. So, and it is monthly only. There is no upfront, like a buy-in you might see in very large properties. No, there is not a buy-in. Good question, thank you.
Teresa, could you talk about the zip code and why it's important that this location is required as opposed to going far west in the area or towards downtown?
I'm going to turn it over
or
to my
some other-
colleague,
other
Ed.
location?
Sure, Lance. Again, with the market study, that's based on basically a 10-mile radius of an area. Originally, we had focused in the Homer Glen area, which is very close to this site, and we decided to move this project here after some zoning hurdles that we were trying to overcome there. And when we looked at this area, this is the closest to that existing market that we could find. If we start moving farther to the west, it starts getting us closer to the Joliet market in some areas, as well as the Bolingbrook area and Plainfield. And to try to keep it as successful as we can for the community, because that's the best thing to do to keep a long, active building strong is try to get as many people in that market area as you can. We try to keep it separated. And even since we've started this whole process, there has been some new, I can't say that the regs have completely changed yet, but they are looking about keeping radiuses, that they don't want you within even 12 miles of another facility, just so that you don't become, people stealing from other facilities, since it is a Medicaid project.
And that's based on Medicaid rules.
Well, it's not really as much Medicaid rules as they've learned from the Medicaid and the nursing homes where in the 60s, 50s, 60s, they built nursing homes in every community. And as that demand got tighter and the rates got, higher and fees, what happened was you've seen all these nursing homes, I don't want to say cutthroat, but they were cutting their rates. And what happened was, today you hardly see any nursing homes survive the Illinois market because they did. They overbuilt to the markets, and they do not want that for the supported living facility. It's been such a great program for the state of Illinois, not only for the residents themselves, but it really is a cost-saving service for the state of Illinois because, we're a lot cheaper per month or per day rate for supported living than you are in a skilled care nursing setting. So they have really started looking at how do we protect these to keep a longevity for the markets instead of what has happened in the past. So.
I do want to show one other graphic. This one is probably the closest to what the proposal is for Lockport's. So if you compare kind of the drawing here to what this one looks like, it's pretty close.
And a little bit about the building here in Newburgh. Yeah, it's in the last 5 years, and so we have, in 20-some years of doing this building, because we actually built one of the first buildings in the state as well, is that we've brought along the architecture. Sometimes the color doesn't quite meet city requirements or their vision, so we're flexible. But if you notice, this building's about 50% masonry between brick, and sometimes we'll do a mix of cultured stone. The rest of the product on the building is a cement siding, whether we do here's a mix of, if you see kind of the center of the building, that is a flat panel. The siding, like in the light green, that is in a horizontal siding. Sometimes we'll do some vertical siding to break it up. So we have a flexibility, and we'll work closely with the city to meet the exterior requirements.
I have a question. I think you might be able to answer. You may. So you mentioned that there's nursing staff 24/7. And are there licensed nurses on staff? Are these practitioners?
We do have a licensed nurse on staff. At a community at about 120 apartments, we would have about 3 nurses on staff. Overnights, we would have CNAs, certified nursing assistants, and the state of Illinois requires that we have a nurse on call 24/7.
Okay, cool. And then you're offering a dining facility, 3 meals a day?
We are,
And
3
that's
meals a
included-
day and then 2 snacks throughout the day. And then everybody will have their own they'll have a refrigerator in their apartment, they'll have a microwave. So they will also have like a mini kitchenette in their apartment. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
in addition to that,
So they'll be able, the food is included in the monthly rent?
it is,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Secondly, you said you had 95 properties that you managed?
We do.
How many of those have memory care units attached to them?
I believe there's about 15 right now that have memory care. I'm going to ask Chrissy, is it about 15 memory care? And some of them are standalone memory care communities, and others, this is not right now. So Heritage Woods of South Elgin, for instance, has 2 memory care units attached. Heritage Woods of Watsika does. We have memory care in Huntley, we have memory care in McHenry, and then we have a number of other memory cares outside of Illinois as well.
You mentioned you carry 2 licenses, one for assisted living and one is for memory care. Are those different licenses?
They are indifferent. The state of Illinois grants different licenses for memory care and for assisted living.
I read in the packet that there was some snafu about, you had thought about doing the memory care unit, but there was a problem with delivery of your waste product, if you will. Is there any thought to, as that area develops, I don't know, Lance, or, Brian can mention in terms of getting a larger pipe out there that would offer them to expand the facility?
The key to that is really, as far as currently approved project is Silo Bend West. So Silo Bend West would extend the sewer from John Lane Crossing, which is over by the UPS distribution building. It would extend it across its frontage on 163rd Street. That would be the connection that would allow for something larger. This facility specifically, they had originally looked at both of those long parcels to allow for that memory care to be attached at a later date. When Silo Bend West didn't go forward, they lost that potential connection for the sewer across their property, which would connect them into that. And so the requirement then was that they connect into the Towns of Silo Bend sewer line, which doesn't have the capacity to handle both the memory care and the supportive living facility. And so that then changed their program to only be the supportive living.
Is that something that the city would, I mean, memory care is important because you mentioned 84 to 87. That's just about the time where they go from being able to live by themselves to becoming, more than unforgetful in that regard. And I know there are others, like in Crest Hill, there's Willow Falls, which was a great development. They have townhomes that people live in, they migrate to assisted living, and then they go into the memory care unit, and they're all in that same area. Versus it sounds like if you're just offered assisted living, now memory care becomes someplace else to have to look. And I think it'd be really convenient to have those two kind of attached where they can migrate from one to the other and knowing the quality of service that they're getting. Would the city entertain later on to work with them to get whatever?
It's up to you.
Yeah, it's a question for all of us.
Okay.
Lance does what you tell him to do.
Well, I'm getting to the point where I'm not the memory care unit, but.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming here. I've been sitting up here for a long, long time. And there have been a dozen concepts that never even got to giving us a drawing or an idea. I can remember was it a skilled care facility with the memory care where the ice rink is going? Was that what that was?
It was
I remember myself and Ben and a couple other, but we actually spoke in front of the Illinois Department of Public Health asking for a license. So that was one of my questions here you say you have a license, okay? And so you don't have to go ahead and ask for a license in this specific area. That's a question, okay?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true. And the license is through Healthcare and Family Services, and that's important. That is because we do have a Medicaid waiver. The Medicaid waiver program is administered by the Illinois Healthcare and Family Services, and they have granted the license. This, again, is our last license that we have in the state of Illinois.
So one of the reasons why the other facility didn't get a license is because the objection of similar type facilities. I can remember Lamont. For some reason, Lamont was the strongest objector to this facility going in here. Is there any type of avenue to where a competitor would be able to object to the Illinois Department of Health and Family Services to not allow a facility on this site?
There is no avenue for another provider to object once the license has been granted.
Well, I welcome you here. We have talked about this forever, and this is something that this community has needed, not just in the last 10 or 12 years, but for years and years and years. And I think that that the council in the future looks at whatever we have to do to increase the size of the sanitary out there, because a memory care facility is just as important as an assisted living facility.
I do want to make it clear, we do not currently have a memory care license through Healthcare and Family Service. It is only for the supported living. And the department's going through a little shakeup right now on the memory care license. They're looking about changing regs about how you go about getting license approved, and we don't know how that's going to play out yet. One of the possibilities may be that the department identifies locations and then they send RFPs out to developers, and then you have to develop at that location. You know, I don't want to say that we have a chance of doing.
I understand that, but I think that sometime in the future that we have a formal request from the council that the state grant instead of, we be proactive instead of reactive, and if we're going to be reactive to the state, we might as well just forget about it.
Yeah, understood, and, you know, we definitely have some land here that we can do something with, so, you know, we will
Just
definitely
keep that in mind, how
keep that
important.
communication open with the city and the planning and zoning, and see what we can do.
Just brief question, what's the normal pull radius-wise for a facility like this? I mean, how far do people come?
You know.
Oh, pull for, okay. So yeah, we expect about 80% of the residents who live here at this community will come from the community of Lockport. Otherwise, the other 20% are other communities surrounding here, Plainfield, Bolingbrook, Downers, I mean, all those around, they're generally always fully occupied. So I would expect we would also receive referrals from our sister communities within the garden portfolio. That's one of the beauties of being our system, is that we will get referrals from local communities surrounding us. But we would expect about 80%, 75 to 80% of those who move into this community will be from the community of Lockport, because this is an unmet need. There's not, and I appreciate what you said about competitors, I think, and objections, right? Because, you know, there was an overbedding of nursing homes, and it was appalling, you know, for people to present more nursing homes on top of nursing homes. That's not the case here. This is really a very unique service that you're not going to see replicated.
And I guess related to that question, just for clarification, because I was going to ask something similar in that I would imagine there's a rather large waiting list to get into homes like this. So if you open it, how does that work? Like if you think 80% of the Lockport area residents are there, there's probably waiting lists that more than fill this up that are from
Right.
people all over the state.
Right.
How do they not all say, well, we've been on the waiting list for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lockport people.
Yeah. The normal discharge rate for our communities nationally is about 45 to 50%. So if you think about that, there is always attrition. People are dying. People might go home on hospice. They might age out and need total care with lifts or whatever that might be. So there is generally a waiting list, but again, there's constant attrition and change, and you could expect about 45 to 50% of residents. So, you know, between 50 to 60 residents new every year that will move in because of people that have moved out and created a vacancy.
Do you not have hospice?
We do have hospice,
Okay.
but there are very strict rules from Healthcare and Family Services, but we do have hospice.
So then if you so-called age out, you don't kick them out, right?
No. So there are very clear guidelines about the levels of care that we can accept. If you think about the difference between assisted living and skilled care, For instance, and Chrissy, my partner behind me, can speak more better than that, but somebody with a tube feeding, for instance, that's a skilled level of care. Somebody with a tracheostomy, skilled level of care. Somebody that's fallen and broken a hip and needs 3 hours of therapy a day, skilled nursing. So there are very strict criteria, and we, really from a mission perspective, we always help residents and families secure placement when that level, that high skilled level of care is required. And, certainly there's regulations, but in our heart, we're not going to kick people, that's just not who we are.
Okay, so there is a pathway then, so just thinking, yeah, because eventually you're going to go for assisted and then to the next level. Okay, so you do have a pathway for that?
We do. And it's not common that people leave us and go to skilled nursing facilities. We have residents die in our communities every day, and our goal is always to care for people and allow them to age in place and end their life. This is their new home, and we don't want them to have to leave their home.
Do you have physical therapy there also?
We do, so that's a really good question. So we do have a partnership. We have pharmacy services, we have physical therapy, we have primary care providers. So yes, we do. We try to bring in as many services, and we partner with the local community in developing programs at our community that meet the needs. We partner with local libraries to come in and do programs with book lending of books. We do partnerships with local medical providers to provide primary care, home health care. So yes.
Can I ask some questions about you'd mentioned 60 full-time jobs. Can you break that down a little bit for me and maybe give me like a starting wage, hourly wage for some of those
Sure.
positions?
So I'm going to give you just estimates, if you're okay with that.
Totally fine.
So we do have about 9 director positions. So we have an executive director who is the leader of the community. So that person manages the day-to-day operations of that community. We're going to have a director of nursing. We're going to have a culinary director. We're going to have a maintenance director. We're going to have an activity director. We're going to have a move-in coordinator, and we're going to have a marketing director. And I might have missed something. I don't know. So we're also going to have in this size community an assistant director of nursing. And the DON and the ADON rotate on call 24/7. Do you have questions about those salaries for any of those, or do you want to talk more about the hourly?
The hourly, yeah.
Okay.
That's great, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm interested in the
Sure.
other 50 positions,
Yeah.
right?
So the nursing department is going to make up about 70% of those 60 positions. So those are CNAs, certified nursing aides, and nurses. In this market, our CNAs, and I don't have budgets in front of me, but generally the certified nursing aides started around $18 to $19 an hour. And our LPNs started about $30 an hour, and our RNs are higher, clearly higher than that. And then we're going to have housekeepers. So in this size community, we're going to have 3 to 4 housekeepers, and they're going to be cleaning apartments every week. And those housekeepers are going to be paid probably 16, 17, somewhere in there. And again, I'm estimating this, so, okay. And then we're going to have dietary aides. We're going to have people serving meals. And in the evenings, we're going to have, it might be high school students that are going to be supervised by our full-time cooks. It's a great job for high school students to come in the evenings and interact with our residents. And then we're going to have dietary aides during the day. And those are, again, about the same as the housekeepers in terms of, and did I miss anything? Cooks, and the cooks would be about $20 an hour in this region. And I'm just estimating based on what I know about Plainfield and Bolingbrook.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And as that relates to parking, because it is a 24-hour facility, even though there are 60 employees, they are not all there at the same time. So they're broken up pretty significantly. We talked at Plan Commission about 5%, I think, they said, of the residents have a car. Some of them just have it so they can see it out the window, and it never moves. And the family has the key. Some of them do actively drive, but the vast majority of people either leave with a family member or they use the shuttle service that is available. And so the amount of parking, although for 120 units it may seem short, is very much within the range of what they have at other communities and the usage that they've seen at those other communities. So as opposed to us mandating how many parking spaces they need, we would rather have them use their expertise to identify how many they actually use.
I'm sure there would be visitors from family members, but they're only there for a few hours.
Right.
We always say that the biggest day is Mother's Day of the year. That is the.
It's true.
That is when we see the most activity from visitors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sorry, one last question for me at least. I know everybody's, as you could tell, has been a need for a long time, so everyone's excited with a lot of questions. But if it's 65 is one requirement, how do you guys gauge like requirements for like the need to be in an assisted living is like, how does that work?
Yeah. So the state of Illinois has a two-tier assessment process. Initially, the state of Illinois has to approve your admission, and they conduct an assessment of your needs to verify that you really do need assisted living. And then we also have a nurse who conducts an assessment as well. So it's a two-tiered process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions? I mean, I know we had a lot thrown at them, so, okay.
Thank you so much.
You got public comment?
You know, well, why don't we do this? Yeah, Terry had a comment about this, and so while we're still on this topic, and if there's a question that maybe can be answered by you, but, so if you don't mind, Terry, if you want to come up and ask your questions, please. Terry, if you don't mind, just state your name and address.
I'll pass these down. Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Hammerl. I represent the residents of Windmill Estates that border this property on the east side. And please, I don't have an extensive presentation for you tonight. I was asked to come, and our spokesman, he had other obligations this evening. So we just have a few concerns regarding this site plan. I've lived in that myself. I've lived in that subdivision, Windmill Estates, for 28 years at this point. We've been fortunate to have a pretty beautiful, quiet area in that subdivision. The only thing that ever disturbed that was obviously 355, which we get some noise, which everybody can probably hear from that area. So we just have some concerns, and I'm gonna present those from my colleague's presentation. So under item 3, relevant site plans, that this is not in conformance with the city's comprehensive plan, which calls for land to be developed as a city family residence. For that plan was challenged back in the day, and I don't have a date for you, from the original warehouse plans that were submitted. I don't remember. I don't have any information or dates for you. This plan has been used for many years. What use it is what use is it if this plan, we're not going to follow the plan, basically is what he's saying here. Number 2, how can we accurately determine if this build is appropriate without knowing what will be done with the remaining 18 acres that border that to the north, which backs up to that whole side of Windmill Estates. At a minimum, this should be shelved, I would, until that is determined. There should be a plan for the rest of that 18 acres, and that should be submitted, I would think. Residents that border this property to the east have lived with no storm or water management since the conception of our subdivision. Without knowing what they will be doing with north of the intended site plan, residents of Lot 4 through 10 and 31 have concerns about elevation and stormwater management due to the property's high elevation, which is considerably higher than the rest of the subdivision on that side. I have submitted some photographs that we had available of what we deal with in the subdivision during extensive storms. We've had a few situations, myself and the adjoining neighbor, we could literally, with the water that comes off of that field, we could literally have launched a boat between our two houses. And one of those photographs is there that I submitted. And I would ask you to please review those in consideration of this project. And that's pretty much all I have for this evening.
I appreciate it, Terry, thank you.
Pardon?
Mayor, I've got the photos. I'll scan these in and email them to everyone, and then I'll ask.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you allowing me to speak this evening.
Of course.
Thank you, folks.
And then we'll have Brian and Lance look at them and comment, but you've got some existing stormwater out there issues. The good news is with new development, we require them to manage their own stormwater, and they won't displace water to any other landowners, but we'll take a look and share it all.
Sure. The, so currently, is all of it unannexed, is that, all right, so, all of it will be annexed, but this is the parcel that's developed. So we can come up with whatever, I mean, it's certainly we're going to, but come up with whatever restrictions or plans that, you know, are open in the future. It's not going to be willy-nilly.
Because there is a annexation agreement requirement as a part of this, although we couldn't split zone something right now, we could certainly put language in the annexation agreement as it relates to any future development needing to be rezoned to a certain category or otherwise, so that once it was subdivided, that zoning would take precedence and they would rezone that as a part of any future development. To my knowledge, and you can certainly confirm this, the current plan is to just continue to let it be farmed on the north edge of it, so it will really be for those homes that are in Windmill Estates up against the east property line. It will really be no different than what it is today, because the actual area of development, as it shows on your screen, is actually south of Windmill Estates. So the impacts from that standpoint, you know, unfortunately from a stormwater standpoint, because it is higher to the north and nothing is going to change up in that area, but as it relates to anything within that property, as we showed on the site plan, you see the large blue area to the right, that is a large stormwater detention basin. And so very similar to what we saw in Sadie Ridge, over time, as other things do occur and as other things will develop, all of that stormwater will get significantly better for those neighbors in Windmill Estates, because those waters will be redirected into stormwater ponds that would be captured on the properties as they are developed.
I will probably get my foot stuck in my mouth here, but I was kind of taken aback by your first comment about noise being generated by this property. These are 84, 85-year-olds. They're not like they're having concerts in the backyard. So I don't suspect that it would be louder than 355's truck traffic, which I know a lot of people in that area are kind of frustrated because, like you know, used to the chirping crickets and frogs, and all of a sudden you got 355. So I
I
don't,
think one of their concerns was ambulance calls, and I don't know if the petitioners can answer, like, how many times an ambulance is called out to a home like this on average? Is it daily, monthly?
have their sirens with us there.
I'm not sure, yeah.
So in a community this size, generally, we did an audit, so we have some really factual information. There are ambulance calls about 1 to 2 times a week to a community this size. Generally, the ambulances coming to our communities are not putting their sirens on unless they're leaving with their sirens on, but generally, it is no more than 1 to 2 a week for ambulance calls.
Thank you. Just a moment of housekeeping. I think we're going to have the annexation agreement on July 16th because of the deadlines.
Second.
No, not for the 16th of this one, not, second's for Sadie Ridge.
City Ridge is on the second.
Yes, yeah.
So just FYI, it'll be on the July 16th meeting for we had the published hearing.
All right. So what are you guys looking for from us tonight, then?
This is just approval of the concept plan,
Okay.
the resolution as presented.
All right. We could do consent, we could do action, whatever you guys want to do.
Probably action.
Even though I support this,
Put it
I think
up for
most people, just do an action item.
Yeah, gives
Yeah,
time
it
for
gives
more
time better
conversation.
questions. So we'll put it on for action?
There's no annexation. So it's just a concept?
This is just a concept plan. There will not be an annexation agreement at this time. That will come with the final development plans once the applicant chooses to move forward with it, once they actually plan to purchase the property, all those different types of things. They are under contract for the property, but this is not the time that we would typically bring an annexation agreement to you. It would be more along the lines of what we just heard with Sadie Ridge. Once they have final development plans, are ready to move forward with the project and construction, that is when the annexation will come to you.
So what you're saying is, this is just, you guys are reopened to this concept of looking and
Correct.
exploring this, all those other details would have to come at a
Yes.
further vote meeting.
Yeah,
So
this is-
a consent in this fashion.
Exactly.
It's okay for July
This is
2nd.
concept plan only, so if you remember when we did Sadie Ridge back in 2024, that's what this is. So it is not engineering, it is not landscape, it's not annexation,
Further
any of those
uses.
things. It's just simply the council saying,
Dreams.
yes, we are in favor of this type of use in this general configuration in this location.
Okay, all right. I don't have a problem with consent, whatever you guys
Oh,
want.
okay, I'm fine with consent.
So we'll put it on for consent. Thank you.
And Mayor, are you okay if I say something, even though I don't speak?
Of course, this will be the first time Kathy Gentile's ever spoken.
I am compelled to speak.
Yes.
I just have to say that I have personal experience with Heritage Woods at Bolingbrook. My mother was at Heritage Woods for 4 years. It was an excellent experience. I can speak for the facility, for the care, the services offered. I wish she could have stayed. She's in skilled nursing now. But 4 years I hunted high and low before I found you, so definitely a much-needed type of business here.
All right. Well, thank you much. All right, friends, if there's nothing else, look for a motion to adjourn. Everybody. Yeah.
My elbows reaching for my button.
Christina and
What?
Joanne, all in favor?
My elbow reaching for my button
Okay.
so quick.
Oh,
Trying to get
me?
through this meeting. No,
Oh.
me.